Hi everyone, Jennifer here from Theos Coaching and Education. Here for another video about cannabis. If you've been following me a lot lately, you know that I love to talk about cannabis. I love cannabis as a medicine. It was one of my first, what I consider psychedelic medicines, and it's helped me so much. And I didn't have a lot of education about it in the beginning, so I kind of just felt my way through and asked bud tenders at dispensaries who mostly don't have a lot of time to spend with each customer. And so I had a lot of confusion. So now, as I've learned, I really love to share this information about cannabis and make it available to people. So today I want to talk a little bit about different cannabinoids, specifically phytocannabinoids. And these are the ones made by the plant. And I make this distinction because we have endocannabinoids in our own body. This is endocannabinoids means endogenous cannabinoids, or cannabinoids that our own body produces, our own endocannabinoid system, which I'll talk about in more detail in another video. So find that if you're interested in those. So today, talking about phytocannabinoids, these are the cannabinoids that the cannabis plant makes. So there's three categories. There's major, there's minor, and acidic forms. The major forms, if you know anything about cannabis, are the ones you've heard of, right? There's THC and CBD, right? These are the most common. In fact, some people probably think these are really all that exists in cannabis, right? Because this is what gets the most press, CBD and THC. And interestingly, those two major cannabinoids do much of the same thing in terms of medicine and outcome in the body. They're anti-cancer, they're anti-inflammatory, they're antioxidant. They can both be sleep aids in the right amount to the right person in the right system. They can help with anxiety and depression. They can relieve pain and nausea and relieve intraocular eye pressure, and on and on and on, so many things. But of course, they also feel very differently in the body, right? CBD is known for being really safe and easy to take, non-altering, whereas THC is intoxicating, right? That's what you get high on. So depending on the amount. So first there's those are considered the major cannabinoids. Then we have these minor forms, the minor cannabinoids. They're in lesser amounts, but the research is expanding on them, and so what we're learning is really interesting. And then they're able to be on in our products and labeled on the labels of our products more and more, so we can actually go and search for them in a dispensary if you have that access. So some of the minor cannabinoids are CBG, which is also called the mother cannabinoid. All the other cannabinoids first start as CBG and then differentiate from there. So CBG is our mother cannabinoid. I love thinking of her that way. CBC, CBN. CBN is very interesting. It's basically aged THC. So if THC is left out in the light long enough, for about 3 years, and just aged, you get CBN. And CBN has been found to enhance the intoxicating qualities of THC. So if you see THC and CBN in a product, then you might get a little extra boost there to the THC. THCV, a very interesting one, another minor cannabinoid, and one that I've talked about in social media before, and I've had friends of mine go, what is that? Interestingly enough, THCV is showing in the research to be actually appetite suppressant. So there's some interest in combining THCV with the terpene humulene, which also has a appetite or an appetite suppressant quality, and maybe that combination in the future, rather than giving you the munchies, which cannabis is known for, maybe this is like diet weed in the future. Be interesting to look out for that. There's of course a CBDV as well, and Delta 8 THC. The standard THC is a delta 9 THC. So interesting, these minor forms. So that, you'll find them when you do in your products in much smaller amounts, but they have an impact. It's part of the entourage effect, part of the overall effect that you feel from your cannabis. And then finally, acidic forms, and that just relates to, that name just relates to the chemical makeup of the molecule itself, and that in its the acidic form is in the raw form, meaning it has not been decarboxylated yet, or it's said another way, it has not had heat applied to it yet. So we find these forms in the raw flower or bud, and in like you would get these forms if you were juicing the leaves or the plant directly and drinking it, or like I get my acidic forms in my RSO. And if you don't know what RSO is, we'll talk about that in another video as well, so stay tuned. But these acidic forms show up on labels as THCA and CBDA and CBGA, and pretty much almost every cannabinoid has an acidic form. It has a raw form that, processed or preheated form. The only one that doesn't is CBN, which, as I said earlier, that's the minor cannabinoid that is aged, that is created by aging THC. So CBN is the only cannabinoid that doesn't have an acidic form. And the acidic forms are, the research is showing that they might be more potent, more powerful. And so there might be even more of the effects that of the medicine that we love from cannabis available in these raw acidic forms. I liken it to eating whole raw foods, or unprocessed foods, or uncooked foods, like uncooked vegetables. Raw vegetables are, have different nutrients than available to us than really cooked vegetables, for example. So I kind of, I use that analogy when I think of the acidic forms. So we'll drill down on these in more detail in other videos, and we'll go into the health benefits of each cannabinoid in other videos. But I wanted to just go over and sort out these three categories, because it can be really confusing sometimes. I know it has been for me in the dispensaries in the past, to understand what are all these letters: THC, CBD, CBG, CBN, and then THCA and CBDA. What are we talking about? And we see all of this alphabet soup on our packaging at a dispensary. So those are our three major categories of phytocannabinoids, the cannabinoids that the plant makes itself: major, minor, and acidic forms. I hope that makes sense, and that you feel slightly more empowered to understand these wonderful and beautiful aspects of this cannabis medicine the next time you go shopping for it. All right, take care.